Hey crew, it's Pitt and I am back with some more Esoterica. Today we are diving back into the works of Mr. Manly Hall. This is the secret teachings of all ages. We are reading aloud and discussing as we go along the various topics that are brought to light. I am trying to dispense a little bit of wisdom and maybe even some enlightenment as we go along, but today is one of those days that's probably going to step on some toes, so we're going to do the extra long here today. If you are unfamiliar with me, any of my unconventional beliefs, or if you get lost at any point in time, there are several playlists linked up here that will enlighten you as to where I stand, and most of them will tell you why as well. The Bible study is of special notice today because we are dealing again with the Kabbalah. We are dealing again with the Israelis, and I do not believe that they were the chosen people. So I hold a little bit different view than we are likely to see and hear. There is also the chance that this might be a level of responsibility video. If you do not know what that means, I suggest you check out the Infinite Integrations playlist, but it basically means that once you are aware of the knowledge, you are responsible for the knowledge. So if you're not willing to be responsible for the knowledge, you probably should not click any of these videos up here. With that being said, we are going to dive into the Tree of Sephiroth. Let's go. The Tree of Sephiroth may be considered an invaluable compendium of the secret philosophy, which originally was the spirit and soul of Chesidism. The Kabbalah is the priceless heritage of Israel, but each year those who comprehend its true principles become fewer in number. The Jew of today, if he lacks a realization of the profundity of his people's doctrines, is usually permeated with that most dangerous form of ignorance, modernism, and is prone to regard the Kabbalah either as an evil to be shunned like the plague, or as a ridiculous superstition which has survived the black magic of the Dark Ages. Yet, without the key which the Kabbalah supplies, the spiritual mysteries of both the Old and New Testament must remain unsolved by Jew and Gentile alike. I am not entirely convinced that there is a key for those. The Sephirothic tree consists of 10 globes of luminous splendor, arranged in 3 vertical columns and are connected by 22 channels or paths. The 10 globes are called the Sephiroth, and to them are assigned the numbers 1 to 10. The 3 columns are called mercy on the right, severity on the left, and between them, mildness, as the reconciling power. The columns may also be said to represent wisdom, strength, and beauty, which form the triune support of the universe. For it is written that the foundation of all things is the 3. That I agree with. The 22 channels are the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and to them are assigned the major trumps of the tarot deck of symbolic cards. 2 points of note here. Right? First off, 3. Very important. We talk about it all the time. It is the Trinity. There is an important number. It is 1, 3, 8. 1 is the one. It is God. It is all things. It is including you. 3, the Trinity. That is you in practical application. It is the body, or the meat suit. It is the individualized spark of divinity that makes the choices that pilots the meat suit. And it is the becoming, or the Holy Spirit, which allows all of that to happen. The Holy Spirit is the part that allows you to breathe, keeps your heart pumping, and does all of the things that you don't even have to think about. And so, 3, absolutely, Trinity, extremely important. I do not believe that this interpretation is necessarily it, but that's okay. You're in the right direction. The tarot deck, however, is a little bit different. There is nothing that I am aware of that links it to it other than a coincidence of numbers. I did a whole series of videos on the tarot. There are 3 there, where we went through and talked about the path that is outlined by the major trumps of the tarot deck. There is a path to enlightenment contained in the entirety of the tarot deck, but I do not believe that it has anything to do whatsoever with the Hebrew alphabet or Judaism in general. There is no evidence thereof. There is nobody that's even claiming that outside of this book that I am aware of. So, yeah, there's that. I do have a tendency to step on toes. Check out the playlist if you're wondering about any of that. Eliphas Levi declared that by arranging the tarot cards according to a definite order, man could discover all that is knowable concerning his God, his universe, and himself. That is possible. There is a path to enlightenment contained within there. When the 10 numbers which pertain to the globes, Sephiroth, are combined with the 22 letters relating to the channels, the resultant sum is 32, the number peculiar to the Kabbalistic paths of wisdom. These paths, occasionally referred to as the 32 teeth in the mouth of the vast countenance, or as the 32 nerves that branch out from the divine brain, are analogous to the 32 degrees of Freemasonry, which elevate the candidate to the dignity of a prince of the royal secret. Kabbalists also consider it extremely significant that in the original Hebrew scriptures, the name of God should occur 32 times in the first chapter of Genesis. In the English translations of the Bible, the name appears 33 times. In the mystic analysis of the human body, according to the rabbins, 32 spinal segments lead upward to the temple of wisdom, the skull. You should definitely check out the playlist that is the Unconventional Bible Study, at least through Genesis, and you can understand what they mean when they're talking about the name of God. It is the creative force, and when he said, "Let there be light," it was "I am light." And when he said it is good, he said, "I am good." That is what we're talking about here. The 4 Kabbalistic trees described in the preceding chapter were combined by later Jewish scholars into one all-inclusive diagram and termed by them not only the Sephirothic but also the archetypical, or heavenly Adam. According to some authorities, it is this heavenly Adam and not terrestrial man whose creation is described in the opening chapters of Genesis. Out of the substances of this divine man the universe was formed. In him it remains and will continue even after dissolution, shall resolve the spheres back into their own primitive substance. The deity is never conceived of as actually contained in the Sephiroth, which are purely hypothetical vessels employed to define the limits of the creative essence. Adolf Frank rather likens the Sephiroth to vari-colored transparent glass bowls filled with pure light, which apparently assumes the color of its containers, but whose essential nature remains ever-changed and unchangeable. The 10 Sephiroth composing the body of the prototypic atom, the numbers related to them, and the parts of the universe to which they correspond are as follows. 1. Kether, the crown, the premium mobile, and the fiery heavens. 2. Chokma, wisdom, the zodiac, the first motion. Bina, the understanding. Saturn, the zodiac. Chesed, mercy, Jupiter, Saturn. Gabura, severity, Mars, Jupiter. Tifereth, beauty, Sun, Mars. Netza, victory, Venus, Sun. Hod, glory, Mercury, Venus. Jesod, the foundation, Moon, Mercury. Malchuth, the kingdom, elements, Moon. It must continually be emphasized that the Sephiroth and the properties assigned to them, like the tetractys of the Pythagoreans, are merely symbols of the cosmic system with its multitude of parts. The truer and fuller meaning of these emblems may not be revealed by writing or by word of mouth, but must be divined as the result of study and meditation. In the Sefer HaZohar, it is written that there is a garment, the written doctrine, which every man may see. Those with understanding do not look upon the garment, but at the body beneath it, the intellectual and philosophical code. The wisest of all, however, the servants of the heavenly King, look at nothing save the soul, the spiritual doctrine, which is eternal and ever-springing root of law. Of this great truth, Eliphas Levi also writes, declaring that none can gain entrance to the secret house of wisdom unless he wear the voluminous cape of Apollonius, of Tyna, and carry in his hand the lamp of Hermes. The cape signifies the qualities of self-possession and self-reliance, which must envelope the seeker as a cloak of strength, while the ever-burning lamp of the sage represents the illumined mind and perfectly balanced intellect, without which the mystery of the ages can never be solved. The Sephirotic tree is sometimes depicted as a human body, thus more definitely establishing the true identity of the first or heavenly man, Adam Kamon, the idea of the universe. The 10 globes, Sephiroth, are then considered as analogous to the 10 sacred members and organs of the protogonos, according to the following arrangement. Kether is the crown of the prototypic head and perhaps refers to the pineal gland. Chokmah and Bina are the right and left hemispheres, respectively, of the great brain. Chesed and Gabura, Pichad, are the right and left arms, respectively, signifying the active creative members of the grand man. Tiferet is the heart, or, according to some, the entire viscera. Netza and Hud are the right and left legs, respectively, or the supports of the world. Jasad is the generative system, or the foundation of form, and Malkuth represents the 2 feet, or the base of being. Occasionally, Jasod is considered as the male and Malkuth as the female generative power. The grand man, thus conceived, is the gigantic image of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, with head of gold, arms of chest of silver, a body of brass, legs of iron, and feet of clay. The medieval Kabbalist also assigned one of the 10 Commandments and a 10th part of the Lord's Prayer in sequential order to each of the 10 Sephiroth. And so we see here some self-insertion, right? That's what we talk about all the time, how you look at things and you interpret them through the understanding that you have. That was true for the prophets, it's true for the dreamers today, and it was true for the man writing this book as well. It can be, right? You can take anything and represent anything else with it, and that does not mean that it is necessarily correct. I don't know enough about the Sephiroth to make determinations about that, but I do, however, know a little bit about Nebuchadnezzar's dream. We talked about that and the fact that almost every single person has it completely wrong, including here. This is not that. Nebuchadnezzar's dream deals with Babylon, and it has a message for the end times wrapped up in it, but it can only be interpreted according to the understanding of the prophet who recorded it, if he actually recorded it, and therefore it is subject to interpretation and understanding, but limited by what you already know. The example that I like to use is that if you took Isaiah and you brought him to a vision of me sitting right here, he would have no idea how to describe this scene. He would not know how to describe these ever-burning lamps that I have that light it up so you can see me. He would not know how to understand what this microphone is and how it picks up my voice and plays it back. He would not know how to understand this television screen that I have my computer hooked up to where I can read this to you. He would not have a concept of that. But he would try. He would do his best to describe it according to his understanding. It would be a magic wall that talks. That's what he would see. It would be ever-burning lamps. It would be something, right? So it's up to the interpretation of the person. But this particular dream was explained. This is the Babylonian Empire and its successors, and it has nothing to do with Rome. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should definitely check out the Bible playlist. But adding the 10 Commandments and the 10th part of the Lord's Prayer in sequential order, that's an insertion. All right. Concerning the emanations from Kether, which establish themselves as 3 triads of creative powers, termed in the Sefer HaZohar, 3 heads, each with 3 faces, H.P. Blavatsky writes, this, Kether, was the first Sephiroth, containing in herself the other 9 Sephiroth, or intelligences. In their totality and unity, they represent the archetypal man, Adam Kadmon, the Greek, who in his individuality or unity is yet dual, or bisexual. The Greek Didymos, for he is the prototype of all humanity. Thus, we obtain 3 trinities, each contained in a head. In the first head, or face, the 3-faced Hindi Trimurti, we find Sephira, Kether, the first androgyne. That is a long one. We're going to finish and come back to the illustration. The first androgyne, at the apex of the upper triangle, emitting Hachma, Chokma, or wisdom, a masculine and active potency, also called Ya and Bana, or intelligence, a female and passive potency, also represented by the name Jehovah. These three form the first trinity, or face, of the Sephiroth. This triad emanated Hesed, or mercy, a masculine active potency, also called El, from which emanated Geburah, or justice, also called Eloah, a, a feminine passive potency. From the union of these two was produced Tifereth, beauty, clemency, the spiritual son known by the divine name Elohim, and the second triad, face or head, was formed. These emanating in their turn the masculine potency Netzah, firmness, or Jehovah Sabaoth, who issued the feminine passive potency Hod, splendor, or Elohim Sabaoth. The two produced Yesod, foundation, who is the mighty living one, El Chai, thus yielding the third trinity, or head. The 10th Sephiroth is rather a duet, and is represented on the diagrams as the lowest circle. It is Malkuth, or kingdom, and Shekinah, also called Adonai, and cherubim, among the angelic hosts. The first head is called the intellectual world, the second head is the sensuous, or the world of perception, and the third is the material, or physical world. Those may or may not be, I see this as an overcomplication of a rather simple thing, right? This is trying to explain the existence of all things, and so you're breaking it down into things. But it's not necessarily correct, right? Simpler is better in almost every instance, and the more complicated that it becomes, the harder it is to find truth in it. The 4 Sephirotic trees. Hey, look, it's 1 through 10. The 40 concentric circles shown in a large circular cut in the preceding chapter are here arranged as 4 trees, each consisting of 10 circles. These trees disclose the organization of the hierarchies controlling the destinies of all creation. The trees are the same in each of the 4 worlds, but the powers vested in the globes express themselves differently through the substances of each world, resulting in endless differentiation. Among the later Kabbalists, there is also a division of the Sephirotic tree into 5 parts, in which the distribution of the globes is according to the following order. Macroprosophos, or the Great Face, is the term applied to Kether as the first and most exalted of the Sephiroth, and includes the 9 potencies or Sephiroth issuing from Kether. Abba, the Great Father, is the term generally applied to Chokmah, the universal wisdom, the first emanation of Kether, but according to Ibn Jibirol, Chokmah represents the Son, the Logos, or the Word, born from the union of Kether and Binah. Ima, the Great Mother, is the name by which Binah, or the third Sephirah, is generally known. This is the Holy Ghost, from whose body the generations issue forth. Being the third person of the creative triad, it corresponds to Jehovah, the Demiurgus. Microprosophos, or the lesser face, is composed of the 6 Sephiroth, Chesed, Geburah, Tifereth, Netzah, Hod, and Yesod. The Microprosophos is commonly called the lesser atom, or Zaur Anpin, whereas the Macroprosophos, or superior atom, is Arik Anpin. The lesser face is properly symbolized by the 6-pointed star, or interlaced triangles of Zion, and also by the 6 faces of the cube. It represents the directions north, east, south, west, up, and down, and also the first 6 days of creation. In his list of the parts of the Microprosophos, MacGregor Mathers includes Binah as the first and superior part of the lesser atom, thus making his constitution septenary. If Microprosophos is considered as sexpartite, then his globes, Sephiroth, are analogous to the 6 days of creation, and the 10th globe, Malkuth, to the Sabbath of rest. Why? Why? Why does that happen? Why do you just go from 6 to 10 and call it 7? That doesn't make any damn sense. The bride of Microprosophus is Malkuth, the epitome of the Sephiroth. Its quaternary constitution being composed of blendings of the four elements. This is the divine Eve that is taken out of the side of Microprosophus and combines the potencies of the entire Kabbalistic tree in one sphere, which may be termed man. All right. Here we have a table of Sephirotic correspondences. If it's this complicated, you are doing it wrong. The above diagram has been specially translated from the Latin as being of unique value to the students of Kabbalism, and also as an example of Robert Flood's unusual ability in assembling tables of correspondences. Robert Flood ranks among the most eminent Rosicrucians and Freemasons. In fact, he has often been called the first English Rosicrucian. He has written several valuable documents directly bearing upon the Rosicrucian enigma. It is significant that the most important of his works should be published at the same time as those of Bacon, Shakespeare, and the first Rosicrucian authors. The Sephirotic tree of the later Kabbalists. I am going to steal this one, and we are going to use that in the thumbnail, but representation containing the sum total of... Move, damn it. In Volume 2, Book 4, concerning Kabbalah of the Hebrews. There's something right here that I can't read because there's a drop down in the way. The horizon of eternity, the highest crown, the Sephirotic system of 10 divine names. So, this is the highest crown. This is intelligence and wisdom. This is fear and magnificence. We have honor, or I can't read that. And we have victory. We have the world of elements and kingdom. And again, I find most of this to be completely unnecessary. Translated from Kircher's Epitaeus Aegypticus. Having demonstrated that the Kabbalists divided the universe into 4 worlds, each consisting of 10 spheres, it is necessary to consider next how the 10 spheres of each world were arranged into what is called the Sephirothic tree. This tree is composed of 10 circles representing the numbers 1 to 20 and connected together by 22 canals, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The 10 numbers plus the 22 letters results in the occult number 32, which according to the Mishnah signifies the 32 paths of wisdom. Letters and numbers, according to the Kabbalists, are the keys to all knowledge, for by a secret system of arranging them, the mysteries of creation are revealed. For this reason, they are called the paths of wisdom. This occult fact is carefully concealed in the 32nd degree of Freemasonry. I don't agree. There are 4 trees, one in each of the 4 worlds, established in the preceding chapter. The first is the Atzaluthic world, the 10 circles being the 10 globes of light, established in the midst of Ein Sof. The powers and attributes of this tree are reflected into each of the 3 lower worlds, the form of the tree remaining the same, but its power diminishing as it descends. To further complicate their doctrine, the Kabbalists created another tree, which was a composite of all 4 of the world trees, but consisted of only 10 globes. In this single tree were condensed all the arcana, previously scattered through the voluminous archives of Kabbalistic literature. According to the mysteries of Sephiroth, the order of the creation, or the divine lightning flash, which zigzags through the 4 worlds, according to the order of the divine emanations, is thus described. From Ein Sof, the nothing in all, the eternal and unconditioned potency, issues Macroprosophus, the long face, of whom it is written, within his skull exists daily 13,000 myriads of worlds, which draw their existence from him and by him are upheld. See the Greater Holy Assembly. Macroprosophus, the directionalized will of Ein Sof, corresponding to Kether, the crown of the Sephiroth, gives birth out of himself to the 9 lesser spheres of which he is the sum and the overbrooding cause. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, by the various combinations of which the laws of the universe are established, constitute the scepter of Macroprosophus, which he wields from his flaming throne in the Atziluthic world. From this eternal and ancient androgyne, Kethir, came forth Chokmah, the Great Father, and Bina, the Great Mother. These two are usually referred to as Abba and Ima, respectively, the first male and the first female, the prototypes of sex. These correspond to the first two letters of the sacred name, Jehovah, I-H-V-H. The Father is the I, and the Mother is the H. Abba and Ima symbolize the creative activities of the universe, and are established in the creative world of Bria. In the Sefer HaZohar it is written, "And therefore are all things established in the equality of male and female. For were it not so, how could they subsist? This beginning is the Father of all things, the Father of all fathers, and both are mutually bound together. And the one path shineth into the other, Chokmah, wisdom, as the Father, Bina, understanding, as the Mother." There is a difference of opinion concerning certain of the relationships of the parts of the first triad. Some Kabbalists, including Ibn Jibril, consider Kethir as the father and Bina as the mother and Chokmah as the son. In this latter arrangement, wisdom, which is the attribute of the son, becomes the creator of the lower spheres. The symbol of Bina is the dove, a proper emblem for the brooding maternal instinct of the universal mother. Because of the close similarity of their creative triad to the Christian Trinity, the later Kabbalists rearranged the first three Sephiroth and added a mysterious point called Da'ath, the hypothetical 11th Sephiroth. This is located where the horizontal line connecting Chokmah and Bina crosses the vertical line joining Kethir and Tiphereth. While Da'ath is not mentioned by the first Kabbalist, it is a highly important element, and its addition to the Sephirotic tree was not made without full realization of the significance of such action. If Chokmah be considered the active, intelligent energy of Kethir, and Bina the receptive capacity of Kethir, then Da'ath becomes the thought, which, created by Chokmah, flows into Bina. The postulation of Da'ath clarifies the problem of the creative trinity, for here it is diagrammatically represented and consisting of Chokmah, the Father, Bina, the Mother or Holy Ghost, and Da'ath, the word by which the worlds were established. That's not the word. Isaac Meyer discounts the importance of Da'ath, declaring it a subterfuge to conceal the fact that Kethir, and not Chokmah, is the true father of the creative triad. He makes no attempt to give a satisfactory explanation for the symbolism of this hypothetical Sephira. According to the original conception, from the union of the Divine Father and the Divine Mother is produced Microprosophus, the short face or the lesser countenance, which is established in the Yetziratic world of formation and corresponds with the letter V in the Great Name. The six powers of Microprosophus flow from and are contained in their own source, which is Bina, the mother of the lesser atom. These constitute the spheres of the sacred planets. Their name is Elohim, and they move upon the face of the deep. The 10th Sephira, Malkuth, the kingdom, is described as the bride of the lesser atom, created back to back with her Lord, and to it assigned the final H, the last letter of the sacred name. The dwelling place of Malkuth is in the fourth world, Asaya. It is composed of all the superior powers reflected in the elements of the terrestrial sphere. Thus it will be seen that the Kabbalistic tree extends through 4 worlds, with its branches in matter and its roots in the Ancient of Ancients, Macroprosophus. 3 vertical columns support the universal system as typified by the Sephirotic tree. The central pillar has its foundation in Kethir, the eternal one. It passes downward through the hypothetical Sephira, Da'ath, and then through Tiphereth and Jasad, with its lower end resting upon the firm foundation of Malkuth, the last of the globes. The true import of the central pillar is equilibrium. It demonstrates how the deity always manifests by emanating poles of expression from the midst of itself, but remaining free from the illusion of polarity. If the numbers of the four Sephiroth connected by this column be added together, 1 plus 6 plus 9 plus 10, the sum is 26. The number of Jehovah. Really? I mean, 8 is important, but really, 26. The column on the right, which is called Jachin, has its foundation on Chokmah, the outpouring wisdom of God. The three globes suspended from it are all masculine potencies. The column on the left is called Boaz. The three globes upon it are feminine and receptive potencies, for it is founded in understanding, a receptive and maternal potency. Wisdom, it will be noted, is considered as radiant or outpouring, and understanding as receptive, or something which is filled by the flowing of wisdom. Wisdom and understanding are the same thing. The three pillars are ultimately united in Malkuth, in which all the powers of the superior world are manifested. Like, for real. There is a difference between intelligence and wisdom, right? Intelligence is the capacity to learn, and wisdom is the actual practical application of learning. It is literally understanding that which you have learned. The four globes upon the central column reveal the function of the creative power in the various worlds. In the first world, the creative power is will, the one divine cause. In the second world, the hypothetical da'ath, the word coming forth from the divine thought. In the third world, Tiphareth, the sun, or focal point between God and nature. In the fourth world, it is twofold, being the positive and negative poles of the reproductive system, of which Jesod is the male and Malkuth the female. In Kircher's Sephirothic tree, it should be especially noted that the ornaments of the tabernacle appear in the various parts of the diagram. These indicate a direct relationship between the sacred house of God and the universe, a relationship which must always be considered as existing between the deity, through whose activity the world is produced, and the world itself, which must be the house or vehicle of that deity. Could the modern scientific world but sense the true profundity of these philosophical deductions of the ancients, it would realize that those who fabricated the structure of the Kabbalah possessed a knowledge of the celestial plan comparable in every respect with that of the modern savant. I don't agree with that either. The Tetragrammaton, or the four-lettered name of God, is written thus. Is pronounced Yehovah. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's Yahweh. Yahweh. That's how it's pronounced. It's Yahweh. That's how it's really pronounced. It is a bunch of vowels strung together and does not actually form a word. It is not Yehovah. The first letter is Yod, the germ, the life, the flame, and the cause, the one. It is the most fundamental of the Jewish phallic emblems. Its numerical value is 10. It is to be considered as the one containing the 10. In the Kabbalah, it is declared that the a yod is in reality 3 yods, of which the first is the beginning, the second is the center, and the third is the end. Its throne is the Sephirah Chokmah, according to Ibn Jebel Kether, from which it goes forth to impregnate Bina, which is the first He. The result of the union is Tiphareth, which is the Va, whose power is 6, and which symbolizes the 6 members of the lesser atom. The final He is Malkuth, the inferior mother, partaking in part of the potencies of the divine mother, the first He. By placing the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton in a vertical column, a figure closely resembling the human body is produced, with Yod for the head, the first He for arms and shoulders, Vav for the trunk of the body, and the final He for the hips and legs. If the Hebrew letters be exchanged for their English equivalents, the form is not materially changed or the analogy altered. It is also extremely significant that by inserting the letter Shin in the middle of the name Yehovah, the word Yehoshua or Jesus is formed thus. His name was Joshua. Yeshua was Joshua. Joshua and Yeshua are the same word. In the Kabbalistic mysteries, according to Eliphas Levi, the name Yehovah is occasionally written by connecting together 24 dots, the 24 powers before the throne. And it is believed that the name of the power of evil is the sign of Jehovah reversed or inverted. See Transcendental Magic. Of the great word, Albert Pike writes, "The true word of a Mason is to be found in the concealed and profound meaning of the ineffable name of the deity, communicated by God to Moses, and which meaning was long lost by the very precautions taken to conceal it. The true pronunciation of that name was in truth a secret, in which, however, was involved the far more profound secret of its meaning. In that meaning is included all the truths that can be known by us in regard to the nature of God." See Morals and Dogma. There is a word. I know the word. I know the meaning behind the word. I know how to pronounce the word. And it's not what you think it is. I can't give it. I can't. You have to get that one through meditation. I cannot give you that. Even what I gave you with, yeah, that's close, but it ain't quite there. The Sephiroth in the form of the solar system, from Maurice's Indian Antiquities. The crown, wisdom, understanding, strength or severity, mercy or magnificence, beauty, victory or eternity, glory, and I can't see this, the emanations maybe, and the kingdoms. Thomas Maurice reproduces the above engraving, which is a modification of the elaborate tree on the preceding page. The Sephiroth are here superimposed, decreasing in size as they decrease in power and dignity. Thus, the crown is the greatest and all-inclusive, and the kingdom, which represents the physical universe, is the smallest and of least importance. Okay, this is going to be a short one today, I guess, but we are at the end. We're going to take just a little bit longer to talk about. I do not understand the necessity of this, right? I understand that men were trying to explain something, but I do not understand how it would be necessary for these divisions to take place. And by divisions, I mean this parting, right? We yesterday did the whiteboard, and I showed you the 6-pointed star, and that is about as far separated as it needs to be. If you go, let's go back up here to where I took the picture, right? And we're going to click it on over. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's too many. We have 1, 2, 3. If you move one of these over, that's 4. If you move one of these over here, that's 5, 6, 7. That would be closer. But this 8th one would put you where you need to be. You do not need 10, much less 11. It can be a straight line because it is a straight line in you. The subtle field is emanated from you. It is part of you. It is what holds you together, and it is done so by these 7 points of contact inside of yourself through the intervention of the 8th one outside of yourself. This one pushes these all together into the correct alignment. It starts at the base and it proceeds on up. There are 2 sources of powers available. One is the grounding feminine one at the bottom, and one is the creative destructive one at the top, the emanating penetrating one. And you are meant to balance these through your stack. That does not mean that there are only the 7 internals, because you have one at the end of your palms. You have one at the base of your feet, but those aren't the majors. Those are the minors. These are attached to the heart. The ones at your feet, they're attached to your base chakra. Your eyes, they're connected to the 3rd eye chakra. These are points of absorption and emanation for the heart, or for the base, and for the crown. And these things are what allow you to do various things. But these don't get counted. They're not part of it. They're part of it, but they're not part of it. There are other points and plexuses that have magnetic potentiality, but they are not the conductive forces. The division that I give, that we did over here, the bottom and the top and the left and the right, they're important because there are rotations involved in these particular areas. Each one of them is a ball about the size of your fist. Some of them are a little bit smaller, some of them are a little bit bigger, but they're about the size of your fist for you. And they are in each of the respective locations. The base is by your butthole. The sacral is around your reproductive area. The solar plexus is your gut, where you digest your food. Your fourth one is your heart. The third one is your throat, or the fifth one is your throat. The sixth one is the third eye. The seventh one is your crown. And the eighth one is out of here. It is the one that encompasses all of them. It is the eternal outside divine chakra. Some people call it the Merkaba. Well, same thing. You can pull this energy up and down. It is a subtle field. You can see it if you train yourself. We have another video on how I did that, but it's not the video on how I did that. So I haven't got that one up yet. You can absorb and emanate electromagnetic force. You can manipulate it within yourself for sure. I am still working on the external manipulations of it, and it's very touchy because you have to be very careful about how you do it. There are repercussions to that. We have a video at the top which is called the 8 Laws of Creation. That is a very important one to watch. But these 7 are the rulers. They're the ones that matter. This 11 doesn't. It can be used as an explanatory device of whatever. You can do anything. You can pick up a phone and say, oh, look, there's 4 corners and these 7 laws this, right? You can do whatever, but it does not mean necessarily that it is right, correct, or true. There may be a reason why you lost the word. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this one up. There will be more long-form explanation of how to do the things that I am talking about with this. It is something that I have to be correct in before I put it out there, but I have in part put it out because I do know what I am talking about. I have used it. I am using it. I got a brand new key just last night. And so I am trying to put these keys together in a way that is easily digestible and is much more easily digestible than this. There's no need for all this secrecy. You are meant to know these things. This is meant to keep you from knowing these things. It is meant to keep you from practicing these things. It is meant to keep you into thinking that these things are evil. That's the point of all of these control systems. And these secret societies, they're control systems too. I'm not a member of a society, right? I am just here doing what God tells me to do through what He tells me directly to do. And so I am trying to dispense just a little bit of wisdom and enlightenment. And I am not here to convince you. I am here to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that you are going to be damned to hell for following the Sephiroth or doing Kabbalah. It is a way to find enlightenment. But when you do this, eventually you will wind up where I am, or you're doing it wrong. You won't get the word if you're doing it wrong. You won't. I've got it. I don't have to worry about that. Someday I will meet somebody else who does too. And until then, I am perfectly fine being the one. And so, that's where I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment, not too much confusion, and possibly a little bit of wisdom to a very complicated set of subjects. Again, I have not studied deeply into Kabbalah. I have not spent time ruminating or meditating upon the Sephiroth. I am merely talking about the things that I do know, as opposed to the things that I don't really know. To me, this seems overly complicated and unnecessary. And so I'm probably not going to dig into it too deeply. I will research it more so that I do have an understanding before I just casually dismiss it. But so far, we are 3 subjects into this, and I have not seen anything useful. If you like what I'm doing over here, let me know down below. Give me a like, share, and a sub. Throw me a comment if you agree or disagree. If it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. And if you really like what I'm doing, hit me with that super thanks, because I am not a communist. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pit's Take. Peace.